Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parco. I'm here with Amy T. Meyer, and we're the hosts of. And there it is. All right, Amy, thanks for being here today. Appreciate you showing up. You always do. Anything you want to say before you bring in your guest that you have today?
So I'm excited to bring in my guest today. I will bring him in right now.
All right.
And
I'm going to flip it into the three, so we're all there. All right.
so,
Introduce your guest.
All right. So Lee is an Army veteran. Actually, he's a retiree. And he worked, I met him while he worked for Wounded Warrior Project. But I'm excited to hear more about his personal story because sometimes we don't hear each other's personal stories. So,
Lee, what's your last name?
Baleme.
Okay. Just one. Yeah. Didn't see it anywhere. For a minute I thought it was Majors.
Sergeant Major. That's it. Yes. Sergeant Major.
All right. So
Lee Majors. That's funny. I don't feel like that.
Only old people know that shit. So let's move on.
Right.
I always try to see, what people will remember from all the worthless movie, TV, and bullshit knowledge in my head. All right. So I know this from before the show starting. You were in the Army. And we always kind of want to know why you pick a certain service. We kind of did that off camera, but I'd like to have it on now. So
sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking. I went in the Army because I was into a lot of crazy stuff before, after I graduated from high school and did a trip down to Samoa for a number of months and then got on a tuna boat and did a tuna boat trip from Samoa, loaded up 1,200-ton tuna seiner, loaded up, went through Hawaii and then back to San Diego. And when I got back, I realized that it was time for me to do something big, way big. To separate from kind of some of the stuff that I was getting into in my life, and I needed some forward direction, better than what I was doing currently.
So it was an actual tuna. It was an actual tuna boat.
It was an actual tuna seiner.
Not a slang for something else. I just want to make sure that people are following.
Right. Oh no, it is a tuna seiner. Yeah, called the Seahawk, based in San Diego, but fished out of Pongo Pongo in Samoa.
That was a trip.
It was very much a trip. It was a growing trip for a young man. Same 19 guys, just nothing but hard work, and yeah, it was my baptism into adulthood, which was really good for me. So my dad was in the Navy for 25 years. Was a Mustang, NCO, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and then became an officer. So I went into the Navy office and tried to do the Navy thing, and they were like, "Yeah, we could get you in, but it's going to be 9 months." And I said, "I don't have 9 months. I only have a short amount of time because of all the stuff that was going on in my life, and I needed some direction." So I walked out of the Navy office in Santee, California, right into the Army, and Staff Sergeant Jose Santos wrapped his arms around me and said, "What do you want to do?" And I, it was all up on the wall, and I was like, "Yeah, I think I want to be an infantryman. I want to be airborne. I'd like to be a Ranger," which that didn't work out. And then I'd like the college fund and a little bit of bonus with it too. And the guy I'm sure I was like his one infantryman from San Diego at the time. And, that made him happy, as you probably know, recruiters.
Yeah. They were calling everybody. "I got an infantryman from down here in San Diego.
I got a sucker. He's here." Yeah.
It was Sign him quick. Get him to sign.
Oh, yeah. They got me very quickly within a couple of weeks. And so I was on the delayed entry program for a couple of months ish. And then I ended up at Fort Benning, Georgia, going through basic infantry school. Yeah. So And here I am 28 years later living the dream.
I went there, but only to see my son. But anyway, move on.
I want to hear about that later.
Because he went airborne, so they would jump. He went to jump school, and I'm just saying Georgia and Louisiana, how humid and fun it was.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun. Airborne school in July, August was not fun.
That's when he did it. That's when we got to be there. Best part was when you leave Georgia and you land in Louisiana. So the base goes across, right?
No, yeah. Alabama, I think it was.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Fly out into Alabama and back into Georgia.
And, something like that.
Yeah. It's still the South.
Yeah. Someplace I don't want to go. I'll visit. But I don't want to live there.
This podcast is probably not the place for me to air that out. being a guy from
no, well, there's a difference is people don't realize, like, I'm in California. When you leave California, you have to deal with weather, right? We have some of the best weather close than anywhere. And when you leave here, you have to deal with weather, you have to deal with humidity, mosquitoes, and I can just stop there. So
you're giving me
I've been there. I've been to I lived in Colorado. I've lived everywhere, Texas. I know exactly what I'm talking about. So
yeah.
But that's okay. I'll keep talking. You just talk more about your story. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, that's quite all right. I my first duty station was there at Fort Benning for about a year after I got out of airborne school, and then I went to Alaska from 85 to 89 and
Joint base?
Served on. Well, it was at Joint Base, but it was before it was a Joint Base. It was at Fort Richardson. Rich was a great duty station for me. It was a tremendously growing experience as a young infantryman, a young paratrooper. And then to become a young leader as an E5 there, I learned a lot about leadership, learned a lot about myself, in the cold. You're talking about the weather. The weather is a little bit different from San Diego.
That place. And Kim, let's see how much sunlight you get during the winter and how much you get during the summer, night and day difference. Yeah. We were just up there visiting my son. Yeah. And it was like, wow, it's still like light at midnight. What the heck?
Absolutely. I'm sure he's in J-Bear, I guess, but
yeah.
I liked it up there. I liked the experience. I think I liked it. I accepted the fact that, which is the way I am, and I have been in all my military service, appreciate the good things that you can, no matter where you're stationed, so that, you have great memories. And there were moments of suck without question. But, especially in retrospect, I learned so much about being a leader and about being a soldier. And it was a great experience up there. But knowing that I was going to leave was that one thing that kept me going. I left in September, October. It was in 89, and I knew it was getting cold. And I was going back to California, but down to Fort Ord, California, which is outside Monterey. If you're familiar, I'm sure you know Monterey.
I know everywhere. California.
I love that place. I could have stayed in Fort Ord, California for my entire military career. It was California. It was coast.
Cold.
All that
perfect.
There was some cool.
It's perfect. It was cool. I like compared to like Modesto, which gets 110 in the summer.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Great duty station. Loved being there. Grew even more. I became an E6 down there, a staff sergeant, and had great leadership. I had great leadership in Alaska too, but my leadership there in Fort Ord really shaped me into being a solid leader. At least as a young leader, right? And so then from there, I went to, how long was I there? 89 to 93. And then in 93, I moved up to this area, to Fort Lewis, Washington. And then from 93 to 96, I was a staff sergeant, got selected for promotion to E7 while I was here. and the leadership at that time was incredible. They really lifted me up and helped me become a better leader. A lot of trials. I will tell you that there were probably more times where I was colder here in Tacoma area, being wet and cold, being an infantryman, having to sleep in, underneath what we call a poncho hooch, just a poncho stretched over the ground, lifted up on one end, by probably 24 or 30 inches, in the 30s and 40s degrees, for a couple of weeks at a time, very often. A lot of growth, a lot of personal growth through all that. A great opportunity to learn from incredible leadership, especially being a senior E6 and a very brand new E7.
When did you become an officer?
Never.
You went to OCS? Never. Okay, you went to
nope.
NC? Okay. Could have swore I heard you say something like,
I did. I said, well, I retired as a sergeant major.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean,
it's.
Yeah, I mean,
So, I mean, when did you get out?
In the Navy, being an E9, you're the cat's anatomy at that point, right?
Right. Well, that was everybody asked me why I didn't, because I had my degrees before I got out. Why didn't you go to be an officer? And I'm like, because I'd have to get stuck on a ship. I'd be a line officer, and that's not something I want to do. I got lucky. I saw a ship and waved to them a few times, but never got stationed on one while I was in. And so I got lucky. And that's when my son was asking about joining the Army or the Navy. And I said, should we check the Navy? I'm like, no, just let's check the Army. If the Air Force is not going to sign you right away to what you want, let's go see what the Army had to do. And they signed him right then and there for what he wanted. And so, it just depends on what's best for you. And I'm just still amazed how fast you guys make rank in the lower range. Yeah.
As I understand it, it's a lot quicker than you do in the Navy.
Oh, jeez. It took me my whole almost 5 years, 5 months to finally get to E4. So.
Yeah, I will tell you that I was in some really good units in my career, especially up front. A lot of light infantry time, a lot of paratrooper, even though my first year was mechanized. I just had great leadership, and my father being in the service, I was set up for success. I understood, military directive and adult leadership. I was blessed, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, from there I went to, where was I? I was here, and then from there I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, fun place. That's a great place.
It was fun.
Yeah, I was stationed when I was in Texas, and I had to go to a physical therapy school. We went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, not Fort Polk, which I knew people from there. So I knew exactly. So I know it pretty much.
Oklahoma?
No, I did.
Okay. I was thinking maybe I screwed that up.
No, you said it right. I was just saying I know exactly what it is, because that was one of the places we could have got sent to while we were there for 3 months when we were trying to figure out what we're doing through physical therapy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, it's hot. I'll give you that. It's hot in the summer, but it's also incredibly humid. I mean, if you could go above 100% Fort Polk, and southern Louisiana would be that one place that it just sucks the life out of you until you get used to it. But I was an observer controller down there. I say I was infantry, but I was a mortarman, and so I was blessed to have another incredibly growing experience as a young sergeant first class E7 leader, to be able to teach, coach, and mentor folks who I was observing and coaching through their pseudo, what would you say, kind of like their Super Bowl of training, which is what they do down there. Learning from different leaders, different levels of leadership, and being exposed to higher levels of leadership, in a lot of the after actions reviews that we had to do. And I did them all the time. Yeah,
So
and then
when
from
did you
there,
retire?
go ahead.
I'm just
I
curious.
retired in 2012.
Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
want you to spend your whole time telling your career story. I wanted you to kind of get into what you're doing now
No,
too.
please cut
No,
me
I'm just
off.
saying. Yeah. No, you're good. I wanted you to get through it, but I know like every 4 years. So we're getting closer, but it was like a couple,
Yeah.
5 more minutes, we would have gotten there to your full career.
Yeah.
When you look back, would you have changed anything about your career?
Great
Would you
question.
have done anything differently? Because if
No,
somebody's going in now, they're saying
No.
they're having a harder time getting people in the military now. Less people want to join. What would you recommend somebody joining today? It's too much.
Be open-minded.
Okay.
Be open-minded. Yeah, and respect the process, and respect the fact that the military as a whole, but I can speak specifically to the Army.
Right.
The Army shape shifts as it needs to meet the social needs of the United States of America. Yeah. So just be open-minded to that whole process.
And I didn't realize how large the Army was until my son got into it. It's like, you don't really know how big. You hear of it, but you really don't know how big it is until you're intertwined with it at one point.
Yeah. My dad said the same thing when he went to an Association of the U.S. Army convention with me. He had no idea there were that many generals and how big the Army was specifically in comparison to the Marine Corps. So I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. It's just too bad they can't be Navy all the time. So,
yeah. It's frustrating.
Well, I look at it this way. The way the football teams are amazing for the people they get and how they, coming in, that they don't get to go pick and choose who they get to, and it's amazing what we do as both teams do, through the whole thing. So hats off to them.
Yeah. You'd think that the Army would do better, but obviously not.
They're more focused on other things. I think it is,
Yeah. It's all good.
It's crazy when they do win, though. I mean, more days off. I've had to flex and move for events during the holidays because all of a sudden the Army won the Army-Navy game. And so all the units I was supporting ended up going on days off.
Yeah. My son has to throw it in my face, but he doesn't say anything when you lose. So,
Why would you?
Yeah.
It's just how it works. One wins, one loses, one wins, it's just how it works. It's no big deal. It just, one of them have one more. I don't remember who it was.
Maybe. I'm sure it is.
All right.
Yeah,
anyway, enough about that. So
I don't care. It's all good.
Yeah. Back to Fort Polk. Where'd you go after that?
Okay. On the quick, Fort Polk, I was there from 96 to 99. I went to Korea for a year. Camp Casey. I was being a mortarman. I was actually in a tank battalion because tank battalions have a heavy mortar platoon. So I was there, and then I came back to Fort Hood, Texas, and I was there from 90 to 94. While I was there, I became a first sergeant. I was actually serving as a first sergeant as an E7 for a year, and then I got promoted to E8, and then served with 110 Cav. If I can, right here, this unit right here, 110 Cav, and then we went to Iraq from 03 to 04 in not the initial push, but right behind it, and then came back, and then from 04 to 07, I was a senior military science instructor at Pacific Lutheran University here in town, and then at the end of that, I got picked up for E9 and went over to Afghanistan on a validation transition team, transition training team, depending on who you ask. And then I also worked at the Coin Academy as one of the 5 primary instructors to teach counterinsurgency there at the Coin Academy, most famously known. Another incredible experience for me. After teaching coin and traveling around, I taught the central class there in Kabul. Got to travel around out east to Jalalabad and Asadabad, over to the border of Pakistan and all that stuff, just for learning purposes for the most part. After serving over there, I came back to come back here because I had a house here in Tacoma area, and then I was here, got stationed at 49 Infantry as the operations sergeant major, and took them back over to Iraq. They went ahead of me because I had to finish Sergeant's Major Academy, but followed them to Iraq in goodness gracious, 09, and then came back in 10, and then retired in 12. Yeah.
And the reason you went back up there is because you had a house up there, or is that just where you ended up?
I had a house here. This is my social and professional epicenter, so this is where I wanted to retire, and they were gracious enough to give me the assignment. So, yeah.
I hear that a lot from a lot of people who get stationed there, that they go back there. That's where they want to.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a great place to live and raise your kids, and one of the better school districts in the state here in Puyallup. I live in a small town called, I say small town, it used to be small. It's a bigger town now called Puyallup. And had a house, and this is where I wanted to end up. Weather's good. It's on the Pacific Coast. It's my people, so to speak. It's not San Diego, but it's close enough. It'll have to do, if you know what I mean. And
San Diego's expensive for what you get. So
yeah, and they want it. The thing about California, I'd go back, to be honest with you, but I'd go back to San Diego in a heartbeat. But the one thing that keeps me from going back is the standard of living is probably about the same here as it is there, but they want to tax my military retirement, and I'm not down with that. The state wants to tax my military retirement. I don't agree with that. So that's why my dad moved from San Diego in the 80s up to Oregon, because they didn't tax his retirement. He had a better quality and standard of life up there than he did back then in San Diego.
So we always ask about your transition story. So did you go through ACAP? Did you have a good transition story, a bad one? Tell us about that.
That's a great question. I did go through ACAP. I thought I got a lot out of it. You don't know what you don't know when you're transitioning, especially after being in the military for so long. I was always told that, when you get out as a senior non-commissioned officer, people are going to be like just begging for you. And I was like, where are they? I know how to network. I knew how to network then. I'm way better at it now, of course, but it was a tough transition. One of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to go back overseas. I wanted to finish my military career by going back to Kuwait and help push people over the berm, if you're familiar with that term, push people back into Iraq. Teach, coach, and mentor all the stuff that I had learned as a leader and as a soldier to people who are getting ready to go into combat, and breathe confidence into them, and hope that they were going to do well and in their journey in the combat zone. So I was at the airport, literally had done everything to go over there. My stuff was already checked in and everything, and they called me and told me that my position had fallen through the cracks, and that I needed to, that I wasn't going. And man, it just terrified me, to be honest with you. And I sat there in the airport at SeaTac for probably 3 hours thinking, what the hell am I going to do? I just said goodbye to my family for a year, because I thought I was going to be over there for a year, making a grip of cash. I finally went home and called a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and I told him, I said, I need a job. So I got a job on post for 9 months, teaching and coaching and mentoring active duty folks who worked in tactical operations centers. And I did that for, like I said, 9 months. And that helped the transition a little bit, but I was still, I just finished my bachelor's of science in business administration, and I wanted to get out in the world. I wanted to expose myself to some business somewhere. And I got poached by a garbage company who was looking for adults and who had adult leadership experience, and to come in and balance the scales between the management and the union. 72 union drivers that they had at this garbage company. So I did that. I did it for a couple of years. I got fired, which was another growing experience for me. And fired the day before Thanksgiving. And I took a couple months just to kind of regroup and figure out what I wanted to do. And then I got exposed to a veteran nonprofit organization called The Mission Continues. And I went through their kind of like their leadership mentoring program. And they really helped shape what my future was going to be, at least for the next 7-8 years up until this point. So what they did was they said, okay, well, you're going to do volunteer work for 500 and something hours, 520 plus hours at a local veteran nonprofit organization. And then we're going to help you establish personal and professional mentors. And then we're going to shepherd you through this process for the next 6 months. And it was a very growing experience for me. I picked professional and personal mentors who were really focused on helping veterans. And and my focus was, my individual focus, which I picked, was to look at for-profit and not-for-profit organizations and get mentors from each. And they helped me understand both the for-profit and not-for-profit areas, at the management level, at the lower and middle management levels. And I learned a lot about, where my heart really needed to be. And my heart was in nonprofit. Though I'm a money hungry son of a bitch, it's hard not to be in a place where, being a hopeless romantic, be in a place where, you can just pour your heart into something that is, that is just so endearing, and just pour my heart back into military transitioning and helping people grow post-military, find out where they are in their transition from military to civilian life, and then what ails them, and then just helping them find resources, mental health, physical health, all that kind of stuff. And that program really helped me. And so I volunteered for a couple of years after that, with them and a few other organizations, Red, White, and Blue, and Rubicon, and I did it through a local place. I actually volunteered through the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs at a the time, it was a budding veterans farm out at the Ording. Ording is a city just east of where I am now, at the Ording Soldiers Home. And it was something that the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs was establishing to get veterans into farming. And I say farming, it's kind of, each veteran had a plot, a half-acre plot that they could work, and they had to do it through, I don't know if you're familiar with permaculture, but really permaculture is, without going into all the details, it's about companion planting and making the most of your piece of ground that you're going to garden or farm, and to be able to, plants work off each other, and some plants invite certain pests, and other plants keep pests away, and understanding all of that business, which is way above my skill level. The more you learn about permaculture, the more you realize you don't know. So I had experts around me who were blessed with a tremendous amount of experience and education in that. But so that really helped me kind of get through transition, and helping other people and all that business. And then my father went into hospice, and he was in hospice care for 4 months. And then I pulled completely away from everything so that I could focus on him. I was so fortunate. I know the Lord put me in that place for a reason, to be able to spend that time with him, which was just incredibly valuable. And then through his transition, life transition, during that time, I was doing some mental health work and a few other things. And then Wounded Warrior Project turned their spotlight on me and said they wanted me to come to work for them. And then after my father, I had, helped him find a place to, his final resting place back down in San Diego, actually. I started working for Wounded Warrior Project, and I was with them till, for 5 years, up until this last January. Yeah. And just doing all that nonprofit work really helped me through, it was selfish and selfless all at the same time.
Right. Where are you now?
I'm actually working on my MBA through online school. And I haven't been working. I'm just trying to find my way through self-care, much needed self-care, working through anxiety issues and PTSD. I like to say PTSD, post-traumatic growth. A number of things that I've done recently, like last year, I went through Travis Manion Foundation's Spartan Leadership Program, and that really helped me through a lot of leadership and personal growth to find my way. And then now it's just been really focusing on me and my mental health, and getting after all the things that I probably could have gotten after for a lot of years before this, but I was just too immature to find my way. But here I am.
What's your MBA in? What are you going for? Just
business? Just business. Yeah, straight business. No focus, no leadership focus or anything else. I'm 58, and I have more leadership experience than I can probably shake a stick at. So I don't really need an individual focus. I think once I get inside an interview and get inside an organization, I'll be able to demonstrate that without question.
Or you could come up with your own.
Yeah, we'll see.
You never know.
I thought about it, but I don't know. I'm connected to the government. I like the government structure. I'm indoctrinated, as it would be. I haven't been around the government for so long, and it's second nature to me, and I'm comfortable there. Yeah.
When you say government structure, is that because of you're talking about the companies you work for kind of set up the same way, or what are you talking about?
I'm talking about just being in the military.
Oh.
My father was military. I was military, and being in some government organization that's tied to the military, that's or not. That's that's comfortable for me. And at this stage of my life, I do want to do something that I want to do. I probably won't be tied to, I have some ideas, but I probably won't be tied to the military specifically, but getting into a GS position and working on another career, for another, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I can't, I, I guess I could see myself retiring and relaxing, so to speak. Um, I've had opportunities to take a break, just like this last 6 months, kind of, sort of. Um, yeah, but yeah, something in the government, some government service position.
No, I'm just saying because a lot of the vets like ourselves, when we start a company, we do SOPs, we do a lot of stuff that some people don't do, and we set it up differently. And sometimes that's a problem. Like for me, it's I deal with a lot of women in my industry because I'm in the mortgage industry, and I have to really think about what I say if I'm not around a bunch of other veterans. And I don't mean cussing, that kind of stuff, just direct and certain things that we're used to. This is how you do it. What? Yeah, just that's how they're not used. It's not, they always go, it's not just your way. I'm like, you're right. But when you get close to figuring out what I just told you, you're going to do it my way. Cause you found out I learned how to get it done the fastest and easiest way, period, to move on. So,
yeah,
I also think veterans, if you can prove me wrong, we take it. Like it's not as personal than if you find a better way, I'm going to go your way.
Exactly. But until then, go my way. But no, I'm just saying there's a lot of places out there looking for people like us to help them. And so I'm going to put us all a little even here. There we go. And so there's a lot of places. I mean, we had like, who did we have last week? We had 22 Mohawks about how they're helping dogs that are in centers or whatever. I can't think of the word. They're saving them. Yeah, they're saving them and making them therapy dogs instead of actual service dogs for veterans. And they haven't lost a single vet since they started giving the dogs to veterans. And it's like, that's just so easy to get a bunch of, dogs out of a shelter, train them and help vets. And it's just like, and they're only on the East Coast. And I told them I'd be willing to help them, launch out here on the West Coast to get that going, because that's huge. How many dogs we could get thrown in here and get training for these vets?
So I'm going to connect them, Lee, with Brian from Unleashed.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, but all over,
great
not
idea.
just in, they need it in every state. They need it in every city. They need it everywhere. Vets, California, there's a ton of vets. 17% of the population everywhere is a veteran. So
yeah, tons in California. A lot more than people know, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, especially a lot more in San Diego and out in the desert area. But Northern California, not as many as they used to be. But there's a lot here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So your plan is to finish your MBA, figure out what you're going to do next, and work till you're 80 is what I heard.
Yeah, 70 something or so. Yeah, probably. I mean, who knows? We'll see we'll see where life takes me. If something grand comes up and it's something that my heart just pushes me toward, then I'll probably lean in on that. Just like I was with Wounded Warrior Project. Okay. I really enjoyed working with Wounded Warriors and the incredible leaders that we had that they still have at Wounded Warrior Project. Wounded Warrior Project. I came in about a year after they had they call it a landmark event. It's their significant emotional event back then, late 14 or early 15 or whatever it was, early 16 or whatever, I don't remember. And I watched that organization grow to be, an incredibly dynamic, focused, veteran-centric organization. Very respectful, very respectable as well. A lot of the things that people say about Wounded Warrior Project, they just absolutely don't know what they do. They just don't know. So yeah, and being able to help veterans the way they do, lean in on so many different avenues, and to really work to their core strengths, and then help other nonprofit organizations, veteran-centric nonprofit organizations, the way they do. They do life-changing stuff without question. Yeah. So if I can find something like that, or maybe even go back, who knows? I mean, I left on good terms. So yeah.
Yeah, you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
you're still supposedly young. Just
I
kidding.
am.
I'm
I
only
am.
only a year different, but
You,
we're good there. Yeah.
yeah. You can't tell. I had a beard for a long time, and
Yeah.
I shaved it off. It's time, looking for another job. I need to, and trying to grow up now. It only took me 56 or so years to mature. So,
At least you got
I'll,
there. That's all that matters. Lee, anything else you want to add before we go today?
no, yeah, I'm really grateful that you gave me the opportunity to share my story and just to breathe love into veterans and veteran centric organizations and to have the opportunity to chat with you. Yeah.
Lee, we appreciate you coming on. You don't know. And if you know anybody else, send them our way, please.
I will, most certainly. I have quite a few folks. Thank you.
We're just
Yeah,
trying to
we'd
grow
love to
this so
have 'em.
people go ahead, Amy.
And say we would love to have them. We can connect about it later.
Yeah. Just we
I
want to
already
grow.
have a couple in mind.
All right, one last time. We're trying to grow this, so we're trying to get more veterans to come on and share their story. Other people come on who can help vets. We just want to grow this community, so we get rid of the silos that are out there and the different nonprofits. We want to just grow it so people know where to go. They can get their information from different places. So
Right on. Yeah. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share.
oh, our pleasure. And thank you again. And Amy, thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for listening and watching. And if you like what we do here, like I always say, just subscribe and forward us to somebody. Thanks, Lee. Stay right there.